There was a night I will never forget, a night when I stood on my balcony, staring at the city below, feeling more alone than ever. My wealth, my power, my empire, they all felt like hollow shells. I had everything money could buy, yet I was missing the one thing that mattered most, genuine love. At 63 years old, I looked out at the bustling streets of Lagos, the life I helped build, and wondered, what if I could find real kindness and a wife for my only son? Not in the fancy dinners, social events, or curated introductions I'd arranged for my son, David. No. I started to ask myself, what if I left it all behind? If I stepped out of this world of riches and pretended to be invisible? The idea was terrifying, unthinkable. But deep inside, I knew I needed to see the world differently. I needed to find someone whose heart was untouched by wealth, someone whose kindness was genuine. I took a breath, trembling, and made a choice that would change everything. I would become just another face in the crowd, not a billionaire, not a mogul, just a woman searching for truth. That night, I decided I would live as a beggar for a while, to find a humble girl for my son to marry. The next morning, I started my journey into the unknown. I packed only a small, battered backpack, just a few warm clothes, an old blanket, and a bottle of water. My heart pounded with fear and excitement. I told my assistant Lisa to keep this a secret, no one else could know. As I looked into the mirror, I barely recognized myself. My silver hair was messy, my silk robe gone, replaced by mismatched, dirt-smudged clothes. I looked fragile, vulnerable, nothing like the powerful woman I'd been. Lisa's face was full of disbelief when I told her my plan. "This is insane," she said. "You could get hurt, robbed, worse." But I shook my head. "This is necessary," I whispered. I wanted to see the world through their eyes, to understand what real kindness looks like. I told her to just send a small phone, so I could stay connected, but I knew I had to do this alone. That day, I stepped out into the streets, feeling exposed, fragile, and strangely free. For the first time in decades, I was just another person, no security, no fame, no wealth, but only a woman searching for the truth. Living as a beggar was more than just a change of clothes. It was a transformation of my soul. I sat on cold pavements, watching how people ignored or mocked me. Some tossed coins, others sneered, and many simply walked past without a second glance. I felt every sting, the harshness, the indifference, but I refused to react. Deep down, I knew I was learning something priceless. I observed how people treated those with nothing, how they dismissed or pitied us. Most people, I realized, had little genuine kindness, only performative acts, done for appearances or to feel better about themselves. But then, one rainy afternoon, everything changed. I was sitting outside a small cafe, cold and trembling, when a young woman paused. She looked at me not as a problem or a charity case, but as a human being. She hesitated, then crouched down and looked into my eyes. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. Her concern was real. I felt a flicker of hope, a small spark of something I hadn't felt in years. That moment made me believe I might be closer to what I was searching for. The young woman, Evelyn, pressed some money into my hand without a word, then quickly returned with a steaming takeout container and a bottle of water. I was trembling, not just from the cold but from a feeling I couldn't quite name. She stayed with me, watching as I ate, her eyes full of gentle kindness. I looked up at her, surprised by her warmth. I asked her name, she smiled softly and said, "Evelyn." In that instant, I knew she was different. Not just kind, but truly compassionate. She had nothing to gain from helping me, no fame, no reward, just a sincere desire to show kindness. I felt a strange pull inside, a hope that maybe, just maybe, I had found the person I was looking for. Yet, I knew I couldn't rush. I had to test her, to see if her kindness was real or just a fleeting act. I decided I would get closer, test her heart, and see if she was the one for my son. Over the following days, I watched Evelyn from a distance. Her small flower shop was her world, simple, humble, filled with love for her work. She greeted every customer warmly, remembered their names, and showed genuine care. Despite her modest life, she was generous, helping an old man with a scarf, giving flowers to those who needed them. One evening, I sat on a nearby bench wrapped in my tattered coat, observing her. She was closing her shop when a shivering old man hobbled past. Without hesitation, Evelyn ran inside, grabbed a wool scarf, and wrapped it around him. I felt my heart tighten. Wealth often brings only superficial kindness, but Evelyn's was pure. She didn't do it for praise or recognition, she simply cared. Watching her, I realized I had found someone whose kindness was real. I saw her struggles, her dreams, her simple joy in life. She wasn't chasing riches, she was chasing happiness, and that made her more beautiful than any wealthy woman I'd ever known. I knew then, I had to get closer, she was the one. The next day, I returned to her shop, still disguised. I told her I had nowhere to stay, they say honesty is the best way, and she didn't hesitate. She took my hands gently and said I could stay with her. Her kindness shocked me. I had spent my life surrounded by wealth, yet I rarely saw such genuine generosity. That night, she prepared a simple meal, rice and vegetables, and I watched her with gratitude. I asked why she did this, why she was helping a stranger. Her answer was simple but profound, because someone once did the same for me. Evelyn grew up in an orphanage, lost and alone, but someone's kindness changed her life. That moment, I knew I had found someone special, someone who truly understood the meaning of compassion. I realized I wasn't just looking for a woman for my son, I was searching for someone who could bring real happiness into his life. Evelyn's heart was pure, her soul kind. She wasn't chasing riches, but true joy, something I desperately wanted for my son. I saw her worth, and I knew she was the one. Days turned into weeks, and I stayed with Evelyn in her humble home. I watched her struggle to run her flower shop, her dreams of expanding it, her endless kindness. I saw her passion, her dedication, her genuine love for her work. She wasn't chasing money, she was chasing happiness. I felt my heart soften every day. One evening, I asked her if she had someone special in her life. She smiled shyly and said, "Most men think I'm too simple. I'm too focused on my work." I nodded, understanding. If she met a good man with a kind heart, she'd consider love. That's all I needed to hear. Then, I took her on a walk, leading her to a grand estate. Her eyes widened in shock when she saw the mansion, so different from her small shop. I gently removed the disguise, revealing my true self, Margaret Lawson, a billionaire. Her face was filled with disbelief. I wanted her to see the real me, the woman behind the wealth. Before she could process what was happening, the grand doors swung open. My son, David, stepped out, handsome, kind-eyed, and confident. I introduced Evelyn, my heart pounding. "Evelyn," I said softly, "meet my son." Her eyes widened, her breath caught. And then, David stepped forward, smiling warmly. "I've heard so much about you," he said. "Would you like to have dinner with me?" Evelyn's face blushed, her eyes shimmering with hope. She nodded shyly, and I knew this was the moment of truth. It wasn't just about finding a good woman for David. It was about seeing if she was worthy of love. That night, I saw the real Evelyn, the one who cared, who loved, who was kind without expectation. And I knew she was the one. My search was over. Over the next few days, Evelyn and David grew closer. They shared walks, talks, laughter, simple moments that meant everything. I watched from afar, my heart swelling. Despite her humble life, Evelyn's spirit shone brighter than any diamond. She wasn't chasing riches, she was chasing happiness. One evening, I called her to the mansion. Her eyes were full of curiosity and nerves. I took a deep breath and revealed the truth, something I'd kept hidden for so long. "I bought your flower shop weeks ago," I whispered. "Not to take it from you, but to give it back, fully. I see your passion, your love for what you do. I want to invest in your dreams, to see you expand and succeed. Not as a charity, but as a mother who believes in you." Her eyes filled with tears. She couldn't believe it. I told her she deserved all this and more, because her kindness and her heart were what truly mattered. In that moment, I saw her realize her worth, not just to me, but to herself. Evelyn was overwhelmed, tears streaming down her face. She felt the heavy weight of her struggles lift. I embraced her warmly, welcoming her into a new chapter, one filled with hope, success, and love. David, standing nearby, looked proud. He saw her true worth, and I saw the beginning of a future built on kindness and trust. We spent the days after that dreaming of a brighter future, one where Evelyn's shop would flourish, her dreams would come true, and she would never have to face the cold streets again. That night, sitting on the steps of her new shop, she looked at me with gratitude and love. "I can't believe this is real," she whispered. I smiled softly. "You deserved it all along. You just needed someone to see it." And in that moment, I knew I had found what I'd been searching for: true kindness, genuine love, and a future worth fighting for. Evelyn's shop grew beyond my expectations. She poured her heart into every bouquet, every arrangement. She was happier than I'd ever seen her. I watched her from afar, proud and content. But I also knew I had one more task, one last test. One evening, I visited her again, disguised as always. I asked if she had someone in her life. She smiled softly and said, "Mama, I'd consider love, if the right person has a good heart." Her words warmed me. It was time. I revealed my true identity, not just as Margaret Lawson, the billionaire, but as a woman who saw her worth. I told her I believed she was the best woman for my son, that her kindness was rare and precious. Her face lit up with shock, then understanding. She realized this wasn't just about money, it was about her heart. I knew then, I had found the one. The woman who would love my son, truly and deeply. The day I introduced Evelyn to David was unforgettable. His eyes lit up when he saw her, genuine, kind, and beautiful inside and out. They talked, laughed, and shared hopes for the future. I watched them and felt warmth in my heart. David took her hand gently and asked, "Would you like to have dinner with me?" Her cheeks flushed, and she nodded. I saw something I'd been searching for: hope, love, and genuine happiness. That evening, I realized I had been looking for more than just a woman for David. I had been searching for a soul that could heal, inspire, and love. And Evelyn, with her pure heart and kind spirit, was that person. At that moment, I knew everything had changed. We were no longer just a family of wealth and power. We were a family of love, kindness, and hope. And I was finally at peace. Weeks later, Evelyn and David's relationship blossomed. They shared walks, dreams, and laughter, simple things that made life worth living. I watched them, remembering my own journey, how I'd lost myself in riches, only to find a true treasure in her heart. One day, Evelyn received a call. It was me. I asked her to come to the mansion. When she arrived, I took her hand softly and revealed a secret I kept: her shop, her dreams, her passion, they all belonged to her now. I had bought her shop to give her the gift of success, not to take it away. Her tears flowed as she realized she was truly loved, not for her money, but for her heart. I told her she deserved every bit of happiness and success. She was more than just a shopkeeper, she was the woman my son needed, the woman I admired. That day marked a new beginning, one built on genuine kindness and true love. Evelyn's shop flourished, her dreams coming true. She and David grew closer each day, sharing hopes under the stars, walking through life hand in hand. I saw her happiness and knew I'd made the right choice. One evening, Evelyn sat beside David, her eyes shining. "You know," she whispered, "I spent so many nights worrying about how I'd survive. And now, I have a future, our future." David smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "You always had a future, Evelyn," he said. "You just didn't see it until now." In that moment, I realized the greatest gift I could give my son wasn't wealth or status, it was love, kindness, and someone who truly valued him. Evelyn was that person. And I knew, from this day forward, our family was stronger than ever. Walking away from the mansion, I felt a peace I'd never known. I had learned a lesson I'd never forget, that true kindness isn't measured by wealth or status. It's about the heart. Evelyn, once a humble flower seller, now stood tall, her dreams alive, her heart full. She had shown me that even the smallest acts of kindness carry the greatest power. That night, I looked at her and David, happy and full of hope. I realized I'd been searching for love and authenticity all my life. And I found it, not in riches, but in the genuine kindness of a simple woman who changed everything. So, if you ever feel lost in a sea of wealth or power, remember, true riches are found in a kind heart and a loving soul. Never forget that. Because sometimes, the greatest treasures are hidden in the simplest acts of love and compassion. Months passed, and Evelyn's life transformed completely. Her shop expanded, her reputation grew, and her happiness radiated. David and she shared a love rooted in kindness and mutual respect. Their bond deepened, built on honesty and shared dreams. One bright morning, David proposed marriage in front of the entire family. Evelyn's tears of joy streamed down her face as he knelt. She said yes, her voice trembling with emotion. The wedding was a lavish celebration, colors, music, laughter filling the air. Family and friends gathered to witness their union. Evelyn looked radiant in a simple yet elegant gown. David, handsome and confident, looked at her with love that was genuine. I watched from the sidelines, tears in my eyes, grateful for the beautiful life they'd built together. Their wedding marked a new chapter. The lavish estate was filled with joy, love, and hope. They welcomed 2 children, a boy and a girl, who inherited Evelyn's gentle spirit and David's kindness. Their home was a sanctuary of happiness, where laughter echoed in every room. Evelyn continued her work with even greater passion, now supported by her family's love. David, inspired by her strength, became more compassionate and dedicated. I often sat on the porch, watching my family grow, my heart swelling with pride. I realized the wealth I once chased was meaningless compared to the richness of love and family. Every night, I thanked God Almighty for guiding me to this happiness, where kindness and humility reigned, and love was the greatest treasure of all. As years went by, Evelyn and David's love only deepened. Their children grew up surrounded by kindness and warmth. Evelyn's shop became a symbol of hope and resilience. I often joined them for family dinners, laughter, stories, and shared dreams. I knew I had found my true purpose, nurturing a family founded on love, humility, and kindness. Evelyn's journey from humble flower seller to matriarch of a loving family had taught me that true happiness isn't bought, it's earned through acts of compassion and genuine care. I looked at my family each evening, feeling complete. I'd finally found what I'd been searching for all my life, a home filled with love, laughter, and the simple joy of giving. One quiet evening, Evelyn and I sat on the veranda, watching the sunset. She held my hand, her smile radiant. "Mama," she whispered, "thank you for believing in me when I had nothing. You showed me that kindness is the greatest gift." Tears filled my eyes as I squeezed her hand. "You showed me that true wealth is in the heart," I replied. Our family had become a beacon of hope and love, a testament that even in a world obsessed with riches, genuine kindness can change everything. The children played nearby, their laughter pure and free. I knew that this love, this happiness, was the greatest legacy I could leave behind. A life built on kindness, humility, and family, truly priceless. Years later, Evelyn's shop remained a thriving symbol of hope. Her children grew into compassionate, strong individuals, carrying her legacy forward. David and Evelyn celebrated their anniversary with a grand gathering, dancing, singing, and sharing memories. I watched from the balcony, my heart full. I realized that my journey from loneliness and wealth to love and simplicity had been the greatest adventure of my life. My family's home was filled with laughter, love, and hope. Evelyn, once a humble flower girl, now the matriarch of a happy, united family. I knew I had found my peace, not in riches, but in the love we shared. And as I looked out at the stars that night, I whispered a silent prayer of gratitude, because true treasures are indeed found in the kindness we give and receive, in the love that endures beyond time. The end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Hit the notification bell to stay updated. Your support means everything to us.